Hey there, this is Jaran. I'm the facility manager at the Deep Earth Anomaly Department, located on the coastal strip in East Antarctica. I'm signing in for yet another cold shift. I don't know if anybody is listening, but if they do, that would mean the radio works, which would be convenient. If it does, please send powdered milk. I asked Frederick, who lives in the hallway mirror, for advice on how to fix the radio, seeing as he's always wearing a utility belt, but he just sat there with the same expression on his face, like he just finished a jigsaw puzzle, only to discover there is one piece missing. And I have a feeling that Frederick is nothing to worry about at all, really. Despite all the warnings, he is just there. Doesn't even seem to notice my presence. Anyways, if you want to come visit the facility, you won't be able to find it on any map, I'm afraid. It is too old and too secret. So if you want to find it, you have to go east from the crash site of Burberry. Follow it until you hear a deep electrical pulse. You should be able to find it from there pretty easily. And it is a bit strange because nobody knows why this facility was built. Even I don't know that. I suspect the answers can be found in the room behind the green door down in the basement. But that has been locked for as long as I have been here, unfortunately. It doesn't even have a keyhole. I'm willing to bet that there are shelves upon shelves upon shelves with answers in that room, but perhaps Frederick one day will help me open it. If I could just get him out from the mirror. Anyways, a new crew is on the way. Because the previous crew got lost in the electrical blizzard upon arrival. And if the Arctic gets you, you never return. Hopefully I won't have to wait for too long for the next crew. I sent a telegram before the radio died asking them for powdered milk. And I tried asking Ingrid to fix the radio, but she just told me a joke and went on with her day. She does that. It's just Ingrid being Ingrid, I guess. Fun robot, but let's face it, a lousy cleaner. But yeah, I am beginning to suspect though that the death of the radio is my fault. You see, I was out stretching my legs when I came across this old ship called MS Svalbard, just sitting there frozen in the ice. Obviously, I went inside to investigate a little bit when I found all of the crew frozen. Some of them had even merged with the ship and... Sorry. Just one moment, I have to turn off this music. That's better. So, as I was saying, the crew had merged with the ship, which struck me as a little bit odd. So I pulled out my pocket mirror and I asked Frederick if he could take a look, but he just sat there. He didn't seem interested in the ship I just found at all. I wonder what he is thinking about. I wish I knew. Anyways, as I went into the ship further, I came across the captain's lodge. That's where I heard a voice, somewhat raspy but not weak. And at first I thought it was Frederick, so I got happy. Finally I can talk to Frederick, and I pulled out my pocket mirror, but nothing. So the voice had to come from somewhere else, so I continued. I went into the captain's lodge, looked around, when I suddenly came across the captain himself, the source of the voice. Now his head was partially within the desk. Some of his body had merged with the legs of the desk, the rest of him with the floor. It was almost like a reindeer frozen in a pond. And as I came closer to him, I noticed that his eyes were following me and he was looking right at me. "Hello," he said with a strange accent. "Hello there," I said. Are you the captain?" "I was, yes," he told me. He told me his name was Captain Alexander Voss, a Norwegian-German citizen, and that this ship was a research vessel sent here to sample large neutrinos. Because if they came back with samples of large neutrinos, they would be able to travel through the astral planes. "That explains the accent," I said. And I asked him, "But what about the crew? What happened to your ship and the crew? Why are you all merged with the ship?" That's when he said it was the ice entities. Which, looking back at it, makes a lot of sense. I told him, "That makes a lot of sense. I guess you didn't bring them atomic rods?" He just looked puzzled at me, just like Frederick does. "The atomic rods?" he asked me. "Yeah, that's right," I said, "because the ice entities can be quite charming, as long as you give them their atomic rods." Alexander seemed quite troubled by these news, and he said, "I wish somebody had told us this earlier. Because if somebody told us this sooner, I would have a house on the astral planes by now." That made me feel a little bit sorry for Alexander Voss. And when I got back to the facility, the radio was dead. So I have a feeling that it was because of me venturing out and about. Maybe it was because I entered the ship. I don't know. But I just can't shake the feeling that I'm responsible. I still visit the captain. Every once in a while I read books to him, news, recipes, weather reports, whatever I can find. It feels like the right thing to do. You see, me and Alexander have become quite close friends, I must say. He tells me a lot of interesting stories about his ventures out on the research ship. Sadly though, because of the electrical blizzard, I haven't been able to visit him in a while. But he should be fine though. The cold is very good at preserving flesh. Speaking of the cold, I hope Joshua is doing fine. I hope he's okay out there in his orange tent all by himself. Last time I met Joshua, he had his wielder goggles on and a smile on his face the size of a planet, and he was singing and dancing about how close he was to finally fly again, and I just hope he made it. If not, I hope he still sings. And if he doesn't sing, I'll see him when the blizzard calms down and maybe I can help. Perhaps he knows how to fix my radio as well. Speaking of, last day, this mechanical sound woke me up. It sounded like gears turning and squeaking. And I'm pretty sure it came from the basement, so I went down to the basement and found that nothing was out of the ordinary. Everything was in its right place, and even the fluorescent spiders seemed unbothered. They were lying there in their warm webs as if nothing ever happened. So I went back up. I asked Ingrid because, well, she never sleeps. But she just did what Ingrid does. She told me a joke and kept on swiping her broom across the floor like she will probably do for all time. I should probably check her circuits again for rust. Yeah. Oh, did I tell you about the craft? I don't think I did. Man, I really like the craft. You see, A few years ago, I woke up like I did the other day to the mechanical sound, but this morning I woke up, I had my morning coffee, I had a stretch, when all of a sudden the ground started to shake. I was certain that my time had come, this was the end, so I went outside to meet my maker politely. But instead of my maker, I saw two tiny creatures exiting a very small saucer, maybe the size of a coaster. And for 2 hours, we just stood there, looking at each other, me and the two little figures. I was the first to break the silence because I had to sneeze. So now, every time I see them, we sneeze, which is our way of saying hello, I guess. Because these tiny fellows, they don't speak like we do, they don't have words, they don't make a sound, they just transfer information telepathically. So the second time I met them, we sneezed, and then they told me telepathically about all where they come from. And they said they come from a planet near Vega, about 25, 26 light years away from here, give or take. A planet called Rigla. And they told me that they've been sent here by their government to investigate what they call the Red Finger Beam. Obviously, I didn't tell them, but I think the Red Finger Beam might be me. You see, when I was around 10 years old, I got this laser pen for Christmas. And on the end of this laser pen, you can put a filter on it. So instead of the laser being a single red point, it became this big red middle finger. And I loved it. I pointed it everywhere, and I must have been pointing it at the skies too, most likely towards Vega. Sorry again, the music keeps coming on. So sorry about that. It's not that I don't like the music, I just like to focus on the music fully once I sit down to listen to it. So where was I? Yeah, I was telling you about the laser. You see, I was pointing the laser middle finger around everywhere, and I most likely pointed it towards Vega. So for 26 years, give or take, that laser middle finger has been traveling through space, all alone, until it just recently hit Rigla. So I really haven't got it in me to tell them that I'm behind it. They seem so excited with their little investigation, and I wouldn't want to ruin it for them. So I've decided to keep it a secret, and instead I'll help them investigate. It will be fun. It could be really good fun. Not sure where they are stationed though. Given their size, it could be anywhere really. But they will find me when they need me, and I think I saw them yesterday actually. I think I saw them flying through the blizzard towards the ship MS Svalbard, and perhaps they'll sneeze to Captain Voss as well. I hope they meet, and if they haven't met, I'll be sure to introduce them someday. He's a good dude, Alexander Voss. So yeah, the sun is coming up soon. I'm not sure what time of year this is. I'm using a 1976 calendar, and according to this, let me check. According to the calendar, it's June. I'm not really sure how accurate my calendar is, because let's face it, most days look pretty much the same down here. But yeah, I should probably get on with my night, and I have a facility to run, you know. So this is me, Jaran, logging off yet another cold shift. Goodbye.